Welcome to Part 3 of the BVI Navigation Seminar. In Part 3, I will be covering OpenCPN for use in planning your trip. I will then simulate the use of OpenCPN for navigating on the water and also in a man overboard situation. The first thing you will want to do is download and install OpenCPN. It is free. You can download it for Windows, Mac, Android, and several other operating systems. It is not available for Apple iOS. In a browser, search for Download OpenCPN to find the download page. Pick the operating system, then download the software, then install it. The release that I used for this seminar is the Windows version of Release 5.0. Once you have OpenCPN installed, you will want to download some charts. OpenCPN can handle many different chart types. The charts we will go after here are RNC versions of the NOAA charts that we used in Part 1. The first thing you will want to do is click the gear icon to bring up the options panel. Then click Charts, then Chart Downloader, then Add. And now select NOAA and inland charts, and then RNC, and then by region. And then scroll down and select Region 10. Finally, click OK. Note that it says please update first. This means you have to push the update button. You can then select charts that you want. Pick Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and click download. Then pick Virgin Islands and Virgin Gorda and download it. Lastly, hit the apply button and the OK button. Be sure to click apply before OK. Click the chart files tab, the apply button, then OK button. Now you see two overlapping boxes drawn in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. We zoom in and center on these boxes. The larger box is a small scale chart, and the smaller right-hand box is a large scale chart showing more detail. We will keep zooming in and notice how the detail goes from small to large. Now let's see what some of the toolbar controls are. We've already used the gear icon. There are also chart panel options that you can control. There is help available, and I recommend you read through the user manual. To find it, click the About OpenCPN icon on the toolbar, then click Help. Now let's create a waypoint near the mooring balls that are shown at the baths in the cruising guide. Move your cursor to where the moorings are, right-click and pick Drop Mark. Then hover over the waypoint you just created, right-click and select Properties. You can then enter the name, select an icon, and add a description. If you click on the Route and Mark Manager icon on the toolbar, you can see the waypoint you just created. Another way to create a waypoint is to click the New button, then enter the name, then alter the longitude and latitude to match what you found in the cruising guide. Remember to triple check the numbers before you say OK. I will create another waypoint so you can see how all three of them look on the screen when we're done. Another option for creating waypoints is to import the GPX file that you can download from the cruising guide site. Here are the waypoints we just created. I've gone ahead and created some additional waypoints. Now let's create a route from the Bass all the way to Leverick Bay. Click the Create Route icon on the toolbar. Click on the waypoint at the mooring balls. Say yes to the Use Nearby Waypoint. Then click the next waypoint in your route and continue this process until you get to your destination. When finished, right-click and pick End Route. Now click on the Route and Mark Manager icon on the toolbar and select the Routes tab. You can name your route and provide from and to information. You can resize this window to show all of the information and then take a screen print. You can then paste that information into a Word document. I did this to create a routes by day document that is used as my printed information for manually defining waypoints and routes into my chart plotter on the boat. OpenCPN also has a print function. On the main screen showing the chart, if you zoom in or out on the chart to get it just the right size you want, you can then go to the toolbar and use the print function and get one or more overview charts of all your waypoints and routes. When you're on the water navigating, the OpenCPN screen looks different. OpenCPN has a klutzy capability of simulating navigation. You can drop a boat onto the chart and then start navigation. Let's say that you're planning to stop at the moorings by the Bass, but you hear on the VHF radio that the Bass have a red flag up, meaning that the moorings are closed because of bad weather conditions. You decide to proceed directly to Leverick Bay. First, we drop our boat at the simulated point where we decide to skip the Bass. Then we activate our route going from the Bass to Leverick Bay. But this is actually sending us back to the moorings at the Bass. You can see our distance, bearing, and such on the right. We go back to our route, right-click, and pick Activate Next Waypoint. This sends us towards BV401, which is the way we want to go. You can see our distance and range have changed. As we drop our boat closer to BV401, our cross-track error is reduced and our range or distance decreases. The last thing we will do is simulate a man overboard situation. I hope you never have this situation, but in case you do, many chart plotters have a man overboard or MOB button. You will have to check your particular GPS to see if it has one. Do this before you get out on the water. OpenCPN has an MOB, and we will use that here. We have our boat out in the middle of the Sir Francis Drake Channel, and the weather is kind of dicey. The crew have their life jackets on, but not their harnesses. A rogue wave suddenly washes our first mate overboard. Being at the helm, I see this happen. I reach down and hit the MOB button on the chart plotter while screaming at the crew for someone to keep an eye on the man overboard. We now have an MOB waypoint that is at least near where our mate went missing. We then activate the MOB waypoint by picking Navigate to this, and the chart plotter then continually guides us toward the waypoint. We bring the boat around, and through a combination of visual scanning and crossing back to our MOB waypoint, we rescue the first mate. We immediately reduce him in rank down to swab. I have just skimmed the surface of OpenCPN. There are multiple ways to do the functions I've shown you, and there are lots of functions I didn't demonstrate. Install and play with OpenCPN. I encourage you to use it in your planning for the BVI. One thing I will mention, it is often useful to create a plan B ahead of time. If your plan A is to stop at the moorings at the Bass, when that doesn't work out, do you proceed directly to Leverick Bay as we did? Or do you moor at Spanish Town and take a land taxi to the Bass? If Spanish Town is plan B, then it is nice to have a route to Spanish Town predefined. Think ahead for multiple options. However, clearly label your options so you don't get confused on which option you should be following. This is the end of Part 3. In Part 4, we will cover phones and tablets and what to do if the chart plotter fails.